Welcome back to Smokey Mountain Logging for episode 6 with me, MrSealyp. The homegrown trees are looking very tall, very majestic, and we're going to be doing something with them today. Well, I'm going to do a few kind of tests, I think is probably the best way of putting it. This is going to be the final episode. There's one piece of equipment, or a couple of pieces of equipment that I want to use that I said I'd forgotten about. I have used on other Let's Plays, so I'm going to use those in this episode and try a couple of things out, because what I have noticed is that the small trees on the in-game are quite small. The larger trees in-game are much larger. There's one through the back there. These are much larger than all of them. So there are a few things I want to test out regarding pricing and how much I can make with these. Now, I know it seems a bit ridiculous. You've got a whole forest out there to go and cut, and you have, of course you have. I can go out and do that. And while these were growing, that's exactly what I was doing. But if you want to make money, this is probably the way to go. But it does seem a bit ridiculous when you've got all those trees out there. But this is that kind of, we've replenished them. The whole time they've been here, they've been making oxygen. And I know I got criticised, a minor criticism. It was a comment left to say that my episode said making oxygen, and the first thing I did on the episode was cut trees down. That's lumber, that's logging, that's But I am replacing them. These may then get cut down, but I will replace them as well. So we are still making oxygen. Anyway, moving on very, very swiftly. The piece of equipment I was talking about was the last Jenz BA 725. This is the weapon of choice that I normally use on most of my Let's Plays, most of my maps, if I'm going to be doing any wood chipping. It's slightly different to the others. I just find the ease of use much, much better. Now, I could do what other YouTubers do at this point and say, if you want to know how to use this, go back and look at my video, blah, blah, blah. Of course I could. But if this is the first time you're watching one of my videos, or you've forgotten, or, whatever it might be, I'm just going to, like I normally do, quickly run through what I'm doing as I do it. It just makes more sense that way. So, the BA 725, we have got the wood cutting end, the wood crusher at this end. The wood crusher where you have to open up, and the pipe at this end. This is like a vehicle, so you do get inside it, and it also requires fuel. Bottom right hand corner, it uses fuel at an incredibly slow rate. Also bottom right hand corner, it has a speed of a whopping 3 miles an hour. It will go forwards, it will go backwards, but it can't turn. So wherever you put it, you can move it forwards and backwards for whatever reason you need to, but that's all. What I generally do, and this is a personal preference, I knock down the cruise control to 0, because I have found on some maps it has a tendency to creep. It moves on its own, and if you have it on 0, it shouldn't technically do that. It may well do, I'm not entirely sure. So first things first then is open the wood crusher, and then open the pipe, and once the wood crusher and the pipe are open, the pipe can be raised and lowered depending on the size of the trailer you are using. I generally have it in its highest position. Just makes it easier, that way you haven't got to fiddle around. But if you want to be a perfectionist and you want to put it exactly the level of your particular trailer, that's entirely up to you. You can also drop it right down if you're unloading into something like the Heizomat Heating Plant or something like that, but we will talk about that later on. Now, because I have the auto engine start off, I have to start engines myself. So obviously that's now like that. If I now turn on the wood crusher, the belt starts moving. So that will stay on now the whole time because I've got auto engine start off. So now I've turned the engine on, that will run until I turn it off again, which kind of makes sense. It uses very, very little fuel. It's really, really good actually like that. If I had auto engine start off, and in case you're not sure what I'm talking about, I've gone the wrong way, but never mind. Down here, automatic engine start. I have it set to off, which means that when you get into a vehicle it doesn't automatically start up, you have to do it yourself. If you put it to on, the vehicle will automatically start up. So if you have it on, when you get into this vehicle, it will automatically start. It will start up, no problem at all. The wood crusher will sit idle until you come to bring a log, and then it will start itself up automatically. But I don't have that setting, so I have it the other way around. He says, not starting the engine. It's because I just fiddle around with the settings. So the wood crusher is now on, the belt is moving, that is ready to use. So, first test then is to do some wood chipping. How many trees is it going to take to fill the 70,000 litre BSM 70,006, I think it is. Let's see, shall we? So, start this up and back it up underneath the pipe. Try and get that as close as possible without hitting it. Oh, that's interesting. Oh yes, because I did a test. There were a few wood chips in there. Not many, but I'll explain that again in a minute as well. Never mind. Right, let's jump into the Scorpion King. Open up the header. I've got it cut on set on cut length 1 metre again. Just a tiny dribble of wood chips still in there. And let's see how we get on. These are much bigger trees. Well, they seem much bigger trees. Drop that down as low as it will go, and lift and pull back. Perfect, right. So the conveyor on the back will automatically start up once it starts chipping, and then our fountain of wood chips will start filling up our trailer at quite an alarming rate, I have to say. Wow, that's impressive. I'm sure I'm going to have to move that a little bit. There we go. Occasionally, when you get to the last one, or the last little bit, it hits the actual crusher bar and will spin and flip and do all sorts of stupidity. That actually wasn't too bad. Right, let's pull forward a little bit. Jump out. Now we'll jump into the cab and see what we've got. 27,627 litres from one tree. So this is going to take 2.5 trees, maybe? Something like that. So this is going to be quite impressive for 70,000 litres. Now, doing the wood chipping this way, using either of the two mobile wood chippers, you are beholden to the price of what the sawmill is going to pay. As with everything in game, the more you sell of it, the more the price drops, and you end up getting next to nothing. The price for wood chips is not great in game anyway. I think it's particularly low at the moment, and that's the only downside of doing it this way. What you can do, if you want to, which again it's that kind of, I mean it's obvious, and I'm not telling you anything you don't probably already know, but especially getting this many wood, or this much wood chips, no, this many wood chips from the trees, you could just dump them and have like the biggest mound of wood chips you've ever seen, and then just wait for the price to come up. But again, once you start selling them, the price starts to drop again, so it becomes a bit of a catch-22. The only other way around that, and it's a bit of a kind of, it's not cheap, but is to sell a load, save the game, come out, come back in again, and the price goes back to where it originally was. So you could do that repeatedly, so you're always getting the top price until that then decides after how many hours it's going to drop. So you can kind of get around it if you want to. So if you look at the trailer now, that's not far off full. And I think half a tree more will just about do it. Now, have I used all of the equipment in game for forestry? No, I haven't, of course not. And I'm going to talk about that in a little bit as well, because there are some bits that if you want to use everything, then they're there to use. Will I use them all? No. There are some bits I don't particularly like, I find fiddly to use, and once realistically you've got the Scorpion King, there's not a need to use the other ones. But when you're starting off, it may well be something you think, actually, you know what, I want to use it, or I want to go more kind of old school, or whatever reason. You know, everyone's entitled to what they want to do, and this is not going to take long to fill up. Now what will happen is, once this trailer fills, as you can see it going up now, the conveyor belt will stop, and no more wood chips will come up the conveyor belt, which will not be very long now. As you can see, it's still chipping, but no wood chips are coming up the conveyor belt. The wood chipper will hold 5,000 litres. Now, if you cut more than 5,000 litres into it, it won't register any more than that. It will only hold 5,000 litres. So then when I bring the trailer back again, it will load up 5,000 litres that's stored into the trailer. That I'll show you in a moment. So I'll just finish off chipping that. So it could be the half a tree I had left, there might have been 10,000 litres worth there, but it will only hold 5. But there we go, that's that done, full trailer. I'm also doing something very different with this episode with my recording. I normally record in short bursts, 5 or 10 minute chunks, and edit the whole thing together. This time I'm doing it in one go through. It will still get edited, but it's different for me. I don't normally do it this way, but I thought I'd give it a go to see if it's an easier way of doing it. Do it, run through and do one 60-minute recording and then edit that down. We shall see. Anyway, off to the wood chipping. Before we get there, when we get there, I'm going to check and see what they're selling for, which I'm assuming is going to be a pitiful amount, because the price was dropping anyway. But this is more to show something else as well. This is more to show me actually using the correct setting on the trailer. So let's have a quick look at prices, shall we? 270, that's not too bad actually. That will drop as soon as I start to sell, and hopefully I won't have the grain door. It should be the entire back that opens, so fingers crossed. Let's see, shall we? Look, the whole thing opens. Who knew? Well, apparently everybody other than me, but there we go, much quicker. Let's see what we're going to make off this load then. It's not going to be record breaking. $18,912. Wow, not even 19,000 for 70,000 litres. Okay, so that's kind of one thing proved then. You've got to do a lot of wood chips, and it will come down to just load after load after load. But the problem that we all are aware of, that price has now dropped to $190. So if I brought another load and another load, it would get to a point that you'd be being paid next to nothing. So I was curious to see how many trees it would take to fill this up. 2.5 of those huge things. I mean, they do look absolutely massive. So what should happen now is, if I get this just right, that will now unload what's left. Should be about 5,000 litres, I think. There you go, bang on 5,000. So there was probably more, but it's stored 5,000. So the 5,000 litres that were still in there then gets unloaded as soon as you put a trailer underneath it. I will back that up properly. So, the bits of equipment that I was talking about. One of the bits I'm going to use. The others I'm not. I left that running, didn't I? Let's turn that off for a second. So, in the store, we have got under the skid steer equipment. Here we go. The DFM stuff. I haven't used any of the DFM stuff. Now, depends how you pronounce it. Doherty, Doherty, it's up to you. Doherty Forestry Manufacturing. They are based in Oklahoma, I believe. There's a log fork, there's a tree cutter, and another tree cutter. That one is more just like a chainsaw. This one here has got like arm clamps as well. The only downside I found to fiddling around with that was bigger trees, especially with the skid steer, has a tendency to topple the skid steer, so it's probably much better for smaller trees. That just takes the hassle out of it. If you haven't got a chainsaw, or you get a chainsaw, or you don't want to be doing it with a chainsaw, it's entirely up to you. That will cut the trees, and it's very, very accurate. You can get it right down to the ground as low as you want to cut the trees, which is very, very nice. So I haven't used any of those. If I go into forestry equipment, there is the DFM TR3200, which again is another tree cutter, and I think that's a three-point linkage mounted one, again by Doherty Forestry Manufacturing. So I haven't used that. The small Heizomat, I did a video a while back on one of my guide twos on wood chipping. That is for very small branches, trees, bits of tree, that kind of thing. It does say at the bottom, very large trees cannot be processed, and they can't. So I haven't used that one because most of what I'm doing is big stuff. But if you want to have a pile of small things to the side, have one of those chugging away. Again, you know, it's a nice bit of kit. It does work well. What else haven't I used? Obviously the Buffalo I haven't used. That is the same as the Stepper in so much as it's a log trailer with a crane grab, but this one's self-propelled, not a trailed one. It's a nice bit of kit, expensive-ish, but once you're making money doing the logging, it's not too bad. Biobelt stuff I've used. The Massey Ferguson log fork is the same as the Biobelts one, just a little bit more old-fashioned, that's all it is. So that's pretty much it. The other thing I haven't used is the Heizomat Heating Plant, and this is the next test I'm going to do. This will sell directly, just like the static Jenz wood chipper, and this is it. I've placed one. It's like a shipping container really, with a furnace. It's got a chimney, and you tip your wood chips into here, and it burns them and sells them directly. Now I'm not sure. I'm pretty sure it's like the static wood chipper in that the price will not fluctuate. It won't go up or down, but the price is a little bit lower. So what I'm curious to find out now is, that last load of wood chips I did at Stanton's Sawmill, I just got just under 19,000 for. So what I want to do now is do a full load of wood chips again, tip them into the Heizomat heating plant, and see what I get. Will it be more or less than 19,000? I am curious. If it's more, then it's worth getting one of these and tipping all your wood chips into it, because you will get a constant rate. Admittedly, when the price goes up at the sawmill, if it goes up and you get a really good price over at the sawmill, it would be worth then tipping them there. So it becomes a balancing act. You balance between the two, whichever's going to work. So this is found in placeables. The Heizomat Heating Plant is 68,000 to buy. You can't lease it with all the placeables. There's no leasing option available. To make that money back, you're going to have to do quite a few wood chips, I would imagine. But then once you have made that money back, it's all profit. So that's the next thing. It's going to be a few little tests here and there. I have placed another Jenz HE 700 static wood chipper. That's for a test I'm going to do in a few minutes. So what I will do is I will see you back here momentarily with the full trailer ready to tip into the Heizomat and see what we get for it. So now we have a full load, 70,000 litres. Going to back it up to the heating plant. I'm not quite sure how far forward the trigger comes for this, but so I don't want the trailer hitting it. Let's see how we go. Try about there maybe, I think. Trigger has come up, so I'm assuming it's okay. And let's unload. Perfect, the money is going up, the wood chips are going out. What am I going to make for a full load? Is it going to be more than 19,000 or less? 17,917, so just under 18,000. Not too bad. I mean, that's equitable. It would come down to whether or not on your map, whether it's this map or any other map you're doing logging on, what the price is for wood chips. If the price is high, sell at the sawmill. If the price is incredibly low, that Heizomat heating plant will give you a set price all day long. I mean, that's still not a huge amount of money, $18,000 for 70,000 litres, but I suppose at the end of the day they're wood chips, aren't they? It's not a top-end product, so to speak. But there you go, that's the Heizomat. It does what it says. You can see the chimney chugging away there while it's burning what it's got. It works. I'd have to do a few loads through that to make my money back. I mean, 3, maybe, well, 4 loads. Once I've done 4 loads through that, that's paid for itself. With the amount of trees I've got here, it wouldn't take particularly long to do that, in all honesty. So, what I will do now is turn this off. Now for the next test. There's a couple of things I want to do. One, I want to see how much one of these trees will make through the static wood chipper. That's why I've placed one here. Over at Devil's Canyon and at Lumber Point 2, where I've got one of each of these. This is my third one I've placed. The most I got through one, I think, was just over 6,000, and that was the most by a long way. Most of the big trees are about 5,200, 5,400 for a big tree. For a small tree, 1,200-ish. So I want to see what I get for one of these through that. That's the next test. Because I am curious. Now, because of the way I'm recording this one, this last episode may be a lot longer, because I've just realised, whereas normally I kind of cut out all the little bits and any mistakes I might make, I'm quite happy so far that I haven't made too many horrendous mistakes. But we'll see. I mean, this has been the series for horrendous mistakes, let's be honest. It hasn't been my finest hour. So, let's drag that past. Hope I don't damage the BA 725. And let's see then, shall we? What are we going to get? If it's more than 5,400, if it's more than 6,000, then these trees are well worth it. And this static wood chipper so far has proved to be the best option for making money, a regular kind of set amount of money. money is going up in the corner. As you could probably tell at the start of the episode, my money had dropped. It had been fluctuating a little bit because I've sold some wood chips up at Devil's Canyon, but then I bought this and I bought the Heizomat to place for this episode, so the money had gone a bit kind of haywire. Let's see what we're going to get. I'm really interested in this. A moment of truth. Come on, come on, come on, come on. $7,132. That is the most I've got for a tree through the static wood chipper by a long shot. Wow, okay, so when you start looking at it like that, crikey, if I cut all of those trees, 220, well, I've cut a few less now because obviously I've cut some down, but if I did 220 trees through that wood chipper at just over 7,000 per tree, allowing for the fact there might be a little bit of fluctuation here and there, what's that going to work out at? 1.5? It's over 1 million, 1.5 million, if my maths is right. Somebody will do the maths and tell me I'm wrong, or I'm right, whichever. Yeah, that's a lot of money. That price won't change. You will get that per tree every time you do a tree. Wow, okay. Well, that's that test done. 7,100 for a tree. Next test then. That's for wood chipping, and that's kind of what I generally do. Now for lumber. Let's see, firstly, actually what I need to do is change the settings. So, I want the cut length at 8 meters, like so. Turn that off. Firstly, let's see how many 8 meter lengths I can get out of this tree. That's 1, 2, 3, 4. So 4 lengths out of that. I'm pretty sure out of the bigger trees in game that are standard on the map, I think I was getting 3 lengths, so that's an extra 8 meter length. Admittedly, it's the thin, well, so it depends how you look at it. All of the trees have a thin spindly bit when you get to the top, so I suppose you'll get an extra large section on the bottom, aren't you? So that's 4 pieces. Right, let's go and grab the, where did I put it? The telehandler. Now what I'm going to do now is take this and sell it at the lumber sell point, and again see the price for that tree. Will it be more or less than the 7,000 I've just got through the static wood chipper? Now this could all go horribly wrong, and if it gets edited, if it suddenly cuts to me taking this over to the sell point, now I could probably be better off using the wheel loader for doing this, but we'll see. Hopefully it'll work. He says, really hoping. If this does, it's going to be a miracle. So, no, don't be silly. Oh, it doesn't get any better than that. Okay, right. So, first time, no mistakes. Hooray! Let's take this to the sell point and see what we get, shall we? I'm at 190,254, so allowing for the turn. Great demand at the sawmill for wood chips. Oh, that's an interesting one. So, what are they offering? Let's have a quick look, shall we? What are they now offering? 229. That's wow. I think the most I've had is 307. 229. Is that a good price? I'm not convinced that's really. How great is their demand? I think they need to pay more. So, let's see if timber prices are as good as wood chipping prices. in the claw. Come on, get off. You've got to be kidding me. Well, it was 190,200 and something. It's now 194,200 and something. So that was 4,000 for the entire tree. So that is the final test complete. What I wanted to do in this episode, I have done in this episode. I've used the Jenz BA 725D, the last of the wood chippers that I hadn't used. I've used the Heizomat for a full load. I've sold a full load of wood chips over at Stanton Sawmill. Comparing prices, if you're going to do any of it, and it's not just about using these trees, because let's be honest, these placeables, so not placeables, but the trees you can plant on any map at all. Buy yourself a field on the map, plant a field of trees, and you've got yourself a forest, and you've got lumber. Now, as you probably noticed, there's a bit of a frame rate drop, and it does go a little bit twitchy the closer you get, especially when you bring machinery in vehicles. I am playing on PlayStation Pro. It's not as bad as it was when I had my normal PlayStation 4. If you space them further apart, it's not as bad, and if you don't place as many, it's not as bad, but you are going to get a bit of a frame rate drop because of what you're adding. But by far, this, the static wood chipper, the Jenz HE 700, is the best value for money. You'll make the most money, and that will not fluctuate unless there is a great demand, unless on the map you're playing on, particularly, I'm trying to think which was very, very good, Drummard Farm, wood chip prices were quite high. Yeah, they were quite high. There have been a few maps where the wood chipping prices have been brilliant. Lawfolds was incredibly high. I think I was getting £66,000, which would have been pounds, dollars or euros, for a full one of those loads. In comparison, I just got 19. So, it depends on the map you're playing on. But anyway, that's it. That's pretty much, that's it from me. That's it from this Let's Play. If any new logging or forestry bits of equipment come out, I may well drop back onto this map and use them, show them as a kind of mod review, that kind of thing. Couple of thank yous. One is to everybody who has commented, given me advice on this Let's Play, but all of my Let's Plays, but this one specifically, for ideas, things to try. I was intending on trying out most of the machinery, which I think I've pretty much done. There are lots of PC mods, obviously we can't access on consoles, that are out there that you can use, but for what we've got on consoles, that's what I've used. So thank you to everybody who's commented. Biggest thank you of all needs to go out to MrSealyp, Catalyst and FDR Logging. Cracking map. Thank you for letting me play on it. You know, I know technically I didn't ask permission to, but you know, it's a cracking map. It's brilliant. Both commented, thanked me for my review. There was a comment left by MrSealyp Catalyst to say that they are working on Emerald Valley logging at the moment, which will be coming to consoles soon, I believe, which I'm looking forward to. Be nice, another logging map, something a bit different. I'm thinking by the words Emerald Valley, it's going to be a much greener and a valley, I would imagine. So thank you to them. Brilliant map. Thoroughly enjoyed playing on it. It's been absolutely fantastic. But from me, and I may well decide, you know, in one of my OCD moments, I might come over here and think, you know what, I'm gonna log the lot. I'm gonna do all of this. I'm gonna wood chip all of it and see what I make. I'm sure it's going to be about 1.5 million, something like that. But anyway, that's it from me. Another Let's Play complete. Another episode complete. I hope you've enjoyed the Let's Play and the episode. I'm sure you found it interesting, informative, frustrating, annoying, all the different things you do when you watch my Let's Plays. If you've been shouting at the screen, if you've been annoyed by things I've done, or you've just enjoyed it and learnt stuff. If you have, give us a like. If you don't subscribe yet, please do. If you want to leave a comment, feel free. And if you want to share this video, please be my guest. Whatever you should choose to do. Thanks for watching.